What an absolute classic to kick these 4 days of Warcraft 3 action of FoCuS versus ReMinD. These guys were big names back in my days. They have been big names ever since. I know FoCuS has been a bit more active over the last few years than ReMinD has. But I really see, like, if I can make a Mount Rushmore of best Warcraft 3 players of all time, yeah, of course it has Grubby, ToD, Moonsky, but I think ReMinD deserves to be up there.
ReMinD is the first Korean WCG champion in 2010. You might remember this. The Korean casters were crying back in the day after his victory, and he won BlizzCon as well. He's just back to the scene, though. He started playing in fall and had a miraculous semi-final run when nobody really expected that. So can he bring his fall performance to Stockholm is the big question, or will it be the constant that is FoCuS? Because this guy is back from the army for like 7 years, and since then he's in the top spot of pretty much every competition. Doesn't really matter if it's a weekly cup or if it's a big tournament. The question is it just online tournaments, or can he bring the performance to offline as well?
We of course want to hear from you guys at home who you think is going to win, and you can place your votes hashtag FOC or hashtag REM in the chat. We'll keep a close eye on you guys, see how the predictions are going over at Twitch chat. Most of the time in StarCraft, Twitch chat is not very good, so let's see if you guys can do a little bit better than over in that other beautiful RTS. And that means that we can now talk a little bit about FoCuS. A lot of words about ReMinD, but talk to me about FoCuS.
Yeah, FoCuS is a player that has a ton of experience and a different style, especially in this matchup. He's been doing a lot more, you'll be happy with this, he's been doing a lot more FoCuS in the matchup, which is something kind of newly developed, at least in the newer meta of things, FoCuS, Grunt, Raider, Shaman. So we could see something like that, a little bit of different style. And then, yeah, he's always playing against players like Laliat. They play constant best of fives. So there's definitely a favorite in FoCuS for this, but ReMinD, being the innovative Night Elf player that he is, can always bring something new to the table.
Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the numbers, because you said it before, numbers don't lie when it came to EPT standings. Numbers also don't lie when it comes to head-to-head graphics. ReMinD and FoCuS, I truly wonder how many games they have played against each other in this 20-year history. That has to be in the hundreds.
Yeah, it should be around 350 when I look it up. They were battling each other every week, but what are the numbers when we have this tournament right here? I mean, so much pressure. Who's in the better shape? For ReMinD, we don't really know in what shape he is. Did he practice secretly? It's the big question. In fall, he was playing against Lin, and everybody thought ReMinD has no chance. It's Lin, right? But he got some cheese prepared. And ReMinD is one of the smartest players in the history of this game. So I wonder, what does he have prepared for the big leagues?
Yeah, and I think there's something you mentioned about maybe we don't know how good a shape that ReMinD might be in, but that almost might favor him in a way. With this matchup being so all over the place strategically, there's tons of different stuff from both the Orc side, but especially the Night Elf side when it comes to strategies. Could it be Lores? Could it be Talons? Will it be Mass Archers? Will it be a fast Expo? There's so much to bring to the table. When there's not a ton of tape to study on the side of FoCuS, that could be a huge advantage for ReMinD going into things.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the map vetoes, because I do believe that they are going to come in, and then maybe you guys can make slightly more accurate predictions on what we are going to see, because I can assume that there are certain openings that work well on an Echo Isles that may not necessarily work well on the last Refuge.
Yeah, on the Tidehunters, for example, we might see a FoCuS here, and the question is, how is ReMinD going to respond? Maybe that actually favors him, because he's very fond of the bear play instead of the normal mass tier 1 style that we've seen for 2.5 years straight, pretty much. Last Refuge could also be a special map, as that is the only map where we really see Talons, the favorite strat from back in the day.
I mean, it's kind of funny, because I want to ask all these newbie questions. I'm like, but if they go FoCuS, can't you go Warden, Carson?
That does work. It's sometimes a blind counter. We have seen that. We've also seen the Demon Hunter attempt as a blind counter to the FoCuS, but mostly it's just the Keeper standard. And then, you know, I do think, I agree with you there, Tidehunters is a great map, as well as Autumn Leaves is a great map for the FoCuS opener. The rest of the maps, especially things like Concealed Hill, Northern Isles, if we do see those, we're definitely going to see Blade Master for the most part, but I'd expect at least one FoCuS here in the best of 3.
All right, now it's time for everyone's favorite part of the pre-show, and that are predictions for the first best of 3. Since I'm the host, I'm in charge, and I'm going to kick things off. I'm going to say that FoCuS wins 2-0, because ORC is as broken as it was in 2005. Neil, what do you think?
Well, that's of course the easy prediction, I guess. In the Warcraft world, everybody calls me the Prophet Cap. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Never
heard about that? Okay, no. Now you know. I'm going out on a limb here and say ReMinD is causing the first upset of this very tournament and taking the 2-1.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm about the same, but I'm going to swap it around. I think it's going to be 2-1 for FoCuS. I think ReMind's going to have a nice strategy, at least one of the games, maybe switch it up, surprise FoCuS a little bit, but FoCuS is going to take it with the experience he has in this matchup.
I'm excited, guys. You know what's so beautiful is that this tournament has a perfect mix between ultra old school players, but then also players that have literally never traveled before. They have taken their very first plane. They were nervous. Hearing these stories really brings me back to the old days. Let's go ahead and see what you guys decided at home as we have the Twitch results coming in. 70% is on my side, but I do believe that qualifies as a 2-1. Because if it's over 75%, then you guys predict 2-0. But apparently Twitch thinks 2-1.
And Twitch chat is always right, I guess. That's what they say. We'll see about that. I'm really curious if ReMind still has what it takes and can it bring back like 11 years after his big success, or if FoCuS can finally do it and win his first Tier 1 tournament, because he never did that.
The final thoughts real quick.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the Twitch chat prediction. I think 70-30 is fair. And also just one last point for this tournament in general for FoCuS, I think everyone's looking at him as well to be the one that could defeat Happy. So the placement for him is going to be very, very important, because I think if he makes it to the Grand Finals, if Happy makes it to the Grand Finals, he's the one that could finally defeat the Emperor, I feel.
All right, we've got a long day ahead of us. 8 best of 3s will be shown to you guys. Our casters are ready for the very first one. It's of course going to be ToD and Remo. ToD, talk to me how weak Human is real quick.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, it's time. The first game of the big tournament, the global finals here for DreamHack, kicking off 16 of the best players in the world and some of the best casters, including ToD here by our side. How excited are you for these games, ToD?
Starting with some flattery too easy to the cast. I like it, Remo. Excited. You're one of the best. You know what, Remo? You're one of the greats. Excited for this match. This is a match that's happened so many times in the history of Warcraft 3. And you know, Warcraft 3 Info, they only started recording results from like 2016. There's still 75 maps recorded between those two since those years in tournaments, even though, you know, like ReMind, not that long ago, he was a little bit inactive. For some time, he's came back really, really strong with his unusual style, and I feel like he's gonna need no less than that here to surprise the very solid FoCuS.
Yeah, the funny thing is, lots of matches have been recorded there, but that only barely scratches the surface. The desk was talking about it. They've been going up against each other for so many years. And I agree with what Carsten said as well. It's hard to judge ReMind especially. We haven't been seeing him too much. He was late to show up to this whole circuit. He only came in fall where he looked good. How he's going to look today, we're about to find out.
That's a fantastic hoodie sporting, though. That inspires confidence, Remo.
You know, we've been talking about thinking about getting a dog. Do you also now jump on that train and join us? Well, we are gonna have to hold that thought, because now we're gonna focus on the game. In the bottom left, in the yellow, from South Korea, the winner of many tournaments, looking to prove himself once again, is ReMind.
His opponent in the red, representing the Horde, also from South Korea. It is FoCuS.
The tension has been building up here for a long time. We went through summer, fall, winter season. These guys were battling for these points to qualify. FoCuS moving into the tournament as perhaps one of the bigger favorites. Of course, everyone is talking about especially Happy and Moon, but FoCuS also has been looking pretty good. Elo ranked number 5 in the global rankings with 2,520 points. ReMind a bit behind in 21st position, but especially during DreamHack Fall with a semi-final run, he really proved what he can do. And what he did was he played outside the norm. The desk touched on it. It wasn't the normal Keeper Hunts Expo all the time. ReMind loves playing old school with Demon Hunter, maybe with talents, but also what we saw back then with bears, which basically nobody else does.
Yeah, and that makes it very awkward to counter. There's a lot of mind games also in build order, where like certain build orders will counter one another. Now we're on Last Refuge, a very common map for talents. So I feel like FoCuS, as soon as he sees a Demon Hunter here, he should be able to anticipate that. And that's where ReMind, he has a real opportunity to mix in something different. Like if you think the opponent's going to be convinced it's talents, what would he do? You know, sometimes Torrent Shift in second, maybe try and play that old school Grunt Raider Walker with an expansion. Maybe there is some different styles you can throw in to try and make sure you kind of stay ahead and You get some sort of tech advantage over him.
Yeah, absolutely. The Talons is pretty much the norm on this map nowadays by most players. Not by all. Moon, for example, still seems to prefer Keeper, but many players want to go with Demon Hunter and Talons. There's a bit of a gamble on this map as well. Normally, if you play against Keeper, you want to skip the shop, don't go for salves, creep in the middle like this, and you don't need to heal up so much. Against the Demon Hunter, ideally, you would like to pressure more, use the grunts, and then have superior recovery with heal salves. But of course, you don't know exactly what's going to be happening. But especially when you're playing against ReMinD, I would say it's pretty likely it's Demon Hunter, so I'm a bit surprised that FoCuS didn't go for an early shot. But yeah, he went for the Peon Scout, which didn't reveal much to him. He saw the Demon Hunter, he saw the normal creep route, which is, I guess, what he could have expected anyways.
That was nice by ReMinD to actually make sure he didn't get his Archer and Snare there. He went for the last one shot on the Peon, but unfortunately still got denied. That would have been a little bit of extra experience. And Blade Master, I feel like we've seen this scene so many times here where the Blade Master is trying to make sure the Troll Priest doesn't go to ReMinD. Illusion block on the Archer. He doesn't have Mirror Image yet, but he's still got it somehow, Remo. Are you happy?
You know, I can let that slide, but I would like to see the Mirror Image throughout the course of this tournament more and more. As you know, Grunt that was sent back should be able to get off the reveal, and a deny as well. Both players here showing up on form as far as mechanics go. The blocks look good, the Shadow Melt, the deny, they come into play.
Yeah, and FoCuS from here, he should know exactly like when he has to follow up scouts, if he even should. Maybe he's just not worried about too much just yet. We see a lot of more Shadow Hunter than, you know, I guess I almost feel like I want to fill in like for Roddy because, you know, he used to be active a very long time ago, but yeah, way back then, it was always Tauren Chieftain second, whereas nowadays it's always a Shadow Hunter second. So curious what we're gonna see here. It is supposed to be a Shadow Hunter second, and FoCuS is gonna have to make that choice here in a second as he has the earlier tech, which is about to finish.
Yeah, the reason this map is good for Talons, by the way, is because even when you go for Talons and you have no map control because Master Training takes so long, wait a minute, we have to pay attention to this Grunt. Speed scroll used, you really don't want to lose that one. Unfortunate creep aggro there, took a lot of damage from these trolls. The Demon Hunter looking for the kill, has the boots. With the block, maybe the Grunt can be safe, but then again, the Demon is so fast, might be able to get him. But just to finish my point, on this map, even without map control, even when you're waiting for the Talon Master Training, you can still creep reliably with a Demon Hunter and later on a Beastmaster. That's the reason mainly why this map is the best for Talons. He gets the last hit, gets stuck back there, but with the staff will be able to get out. But the big question is it going to be Talons or is it going to be Bears? We don't see a Hunter's Hall yet, so indeed is looking like Talons. Yeah. FoCuS wants to figure out what's happening, and now we should know, seeing that there's no Hunter's Hall.
Yeah, this is super well done by FoCuS, scouting at the perfect time here as the Elf tech will finish. He sees no Hunter's Hall, he sees enough room for those wins as well way back there. And he already went for a Tauren Chieftain. He had already made up his mind, even before doing any kind of scouting. He was like, I'm going to go TC, I feel pretty certain it's going to be Talons. Now that Blades... Remember FoCuS, by the way? He was the guy that eliminated Happy back in Anaheim. You know, Happy going into this tournament, he's always one of the favorites. FoCuS completely stopped him. And that was off some fantastic Blade Master play. I remember he cancelled his Slaughterhouse multiple times and stuff. And here again, he shows his brilliance with the Blade Master showing up at the perfect time in the main base, even scouting that Ancient of War. Can he pull the aggro on the creeps with the illusion?
Yeah, and here we see the reason, I think, why FoCuS is trying to creep on this map in the beginning. You can do so much with illusions on this map, whether to creep yourself or to harass or to scout, especially with the Merc camp. But now ReMinD has slipped away from the Blade and can creep a very valuable camp in the middle. These big consumable items are a huge difference maker. Big Invul Potion, exactly what you want with this strategy. Most strats, most armies want to have more mana for more spells, but with Demon Hunter Beastmaster, it's not that important. You want to have healing and survivability. But in the meantime, the Blade Master gets the cancel on the wins a second time, I believe, and these Talons are getting delayed quite a bit.
Yeah, this Blade has done so much work this game. It's been absurd, really. The Ancient of Wind only now restarts, and that's the first one of them. He starts the second now. These have been so delayed, and that's really going to make it's very hard for ReMinD to get to a good talent count with Master as well, because he also has to get the research. Yeah. On the other side, Tauren Chieftain did the small camp right outside his base up first. Now he's going to do the expansion. You used to expand pretty quickly, usually against this style. Level your Tauren Chieftain to level 3 and then start fighting a little more. So I'm curious whether we're going to see an expansion here, or if he wants to maybe delay that a little, or even stay on one base. We've seen some orcs just stay on one base here in these kind of games.
Yeah, Tier 2 Expo is something we've been seeing from ORC a lot in the past, in many different matchups. Against Talons, it might be dangerous, because the time the Expo finishes is probably right around the time where Master Training is finished and Orb of Venom, so you might be kind of playing into a Night Elf Power Spike. Also, your natural is pretty close to the opponent's main, which is important for a slow army like Talons. But you mentioned it before, it's taken forever for these Talons to come out. We don't have a single one yet. And the Demon Hunter isn't quite level 3 yet, which is always a big power spike that's necessary.
FoCuS is coming to engage. Wait, he...
Instead, the
What?
creep. He may have misclicked there, trying to get the archer.
If that was the opponent smaller from the Merc camp, then yeah, sure. But now it's like... kind of weird. And he's actually going to try and steal away the consumable here, perhaps, from the shop. Kind of ambitious to start this in front of the Night Elf.
Yeah, he gets the heal scroll. He wants to do at least some creep damage, meaning creeping something away from the opponent. Because again, Talons aren't ready yet. Cyclone isn't ready yet. So right now the Orc is supposed to be stronger. Last hit goes to FoCuS, gets the item, Scroll of the Beast, which is not a good find for him. He's the one who wants mana or a big invul potion. Because of course soon the Talons are gonna have the Cyclones ready. Peons are coming from the main. Hold the phone. FoCuS doesn't want to take this late game. Maybe. All right, maybe I'm just overreacting. This might just be for Spirit Link, but it could be for towers, maybe. If he has a War Mill.
Yeah, I don't think he has a War Mill.
Yeah, I guess he doesn't. All right, never mind. False
He's not
alarm.
supposed to if you go 1-1-1. I think he just thought like they were gonna... He was gonna be more contested at the Merchants, whereas ReMinD was happy to just kind of eject for a second when he saw the consumable was already gone. So now it's kind of like a truth for a little bit, where ReMind's gonna want to creep the lab. Maybe even the Mer camp after, and FoCuS gets to go back home and level his Torrent Chieftain to level 3 before they engage again. Maybe grab a mana potion or two.
Yeah, well, a second heal scroll and go in and fight again. Honestly, I feel like ReMinD hasn't been able to utilize this map too well. As I pointed out earlier, the big strength of this map is you can creep early before you have Talons. Once you have Talons, you can creep already.
Yeah,
but these hero levels are still fairly low. Beastmaster should get level 2. Didn't quite see the item. Wand of the Wind. All right, that's going to be a bit overkill. But yeah, ReMinD, he didn't creep the Merc camp yet. Oh, nice dodge. Well, not quite. The Talon gets caught. Didn't creep the natural yet. ReMinD is kind of under-leveled. FoCuS sees this and wants to take a favorable fight right now.
Yeah, when you get your second hero to level 3, very often in multiple matchups, that means you have to hit a timing. And here it's no different with Shockwave level 2, Torrent Chieftain on full mana currently. But ReMinD standing behind his Ancient of War. That's interesting that he actually even moved this back, because it was supposed to help him creep the lab initially. But he actually moved the Ancient of War back home. He had to be at the front in case he gets attacked into, knowing that this timing was probably coming.
Yeah, so many tier 3 strategies, they take quite some time to come online often. ReMinD still only at 38 supply. Still doesn't have a third hero. Would love to add in the Tinker. That is still the classic choice. But the Tavern is being camped right now. FoCuS. This could be a time perhaps to expand. Sitting at 50, banking resources, but ReMinD is also scouting for that with a Wisp.
Yeah, usually you want to go for a third hero here. Eventually as ReMinD. Once upon a time, that was always a Tinker third. But I feel like recently we've been seeing, Demon into Naga, into like some other different second and third heroes. But it will be a Tinker here with Pocket Factory, just for a little bit of extra tankiness. Not just with the hero, but also with the factory that also adds a bit of extra damage so that the Talents have more room to do their job. And that Demon Hunter with Orb also, a very important piece of this strategy here. Those mana burns going to be key. Actually, I haven't seen that many Spirit Walkers. I guess he's up to like 3, maybe adding a 4th. It makes sense for both players to wait until they fight more. I think like if FoCuS had engaged too early and got everything mana burned, like then there would have been so many Cyclones to handle, especially with the Wand of the Wind being there too.
Honestly, I feel like he should have attacked earlier. This Demon was stuck on level 2 for so long. Now he's level 3. This makes a huge difference. With only level 1 burn, there should have been plenty of shockwaves to come out, and also the Walkers would have had an easier time. I saw the Burrow for 60 supply was a bit late. Maybe there a small mistake by FoCuS, but now he's coming in. First shockwave lands decently. 5 of the Talons hit, but the mana burn hits right away as well. Now the TC's out of mana already. Invul Potion pop on the Blade Master. We call that the Beast Mode. Now he's looking for kills. The heal scrolls here absolutely crucial. The Raiders trying to make their way to the Talons. They want to ignore the heroes, go to the Talons. It's working out decently well so far. Invul Potion forced also on the Demon Hunter. One of the walkers in the back might be going down. Fairy Dragon added in, providing more damage. But ReMinD is holding his ground, seemingly winning this fight, and FoCuS has to run.
Yeah, the Fairy Dragon here will do so much damage against Spirit Walkers. Blade getting chased away. And he has no escape. He has no invul, no town portal. If he gets surrounded, he's going to be in so much trouble. Double staff use on the Demon Hunter. He's back in the fight here. Cyclone uses on one of the Raiders. Not that much chasing potential if he runs out of Cyclones. Those Orc heroes really trying to make it away. Intercept with some talents. He double Cyclones both of the heroes. The Blade is about to be surrounded, but not quite there.
The Talons are, of course, pretty slow. We have the Aura here for the Orc to be faster as well. Raiders come in, try to ensnare and cover the retreat. We have Disenchant and Disengage. ReMinD now finally has some resources. Now finally, this strategy is online. The Talons, as we've seen so many times before, and FoCuS definitely seems behind in this game and didn't find the opportunity to take a favorable fight earlier. I feel like he, was perhaps a bit too passive this game. It's not over yet, but this is not the position you want to be in as the Orc.
Yeah, grabs the double scroll. FoCuS, like, when you get chased like this and you're low on hit points, you're obviously in a really bad spot as the Orc, because you have to make it all the way back home somehow. Click on those salves, and you can't even creep for a little bit with your heroes because they're healing. That would cancel the salves. So it is to buy a little bit of time. Added one single Bat Rider here to try and deal with the Fairy Dragon better. I think he was just a single one of them so far, so getting that out of there would be very important. And he has some key level around the corner with Blade potentially getting level 3. Would have the option to maybe go crit level 2 if he thinks he needs that to fight a little better. And both players just for now gonna disengage and maybe resume a little bit of creeping here before they fight again.
Once again, we see the strength of last Refuge. Even if the early game wasn't so good for ReMinD, he wasn't really punished. In the late game, the great thing here for the Knight is also, it has a lot more benefits. Firstly, there's a lot of heavy armor here, which you can easily creep with magic damage from the talents. And secondly, the whole map is narrow. On some maps, we have a healthy mix of wide open areas and narrow areas. Bad Rider connects, gets the kill, but here everything's narrow basically, which makes life for the Talons much easier. What was the item here at the red camp? I didn't quite see it. It was on battle drums. All right, that's a good item. This army kind of lacks in damage, and that's going to help with that.
And on the other side, looks like Endurance, unfortunately, so... An Aura he already has, gonna have to be a cell here in a second. At least he's not over 50 supply. He takes the corner expansion. Almost as if to hide it away from ReMinD, hoping that maybe no Wisp will go there and detect this anytime soon.
Especially with the Raiders and possibly with Pillage, there's always an option to also go for this hit-and-run base lane style. FoCuS was in a good position to go for that, being at the red camp close to the Isle of Main, but no, he's running back to defend rather. With reinforced defenses, you can have more sturdy burrows, but you need a war mill first for that. That is still not the case now. FoCuS having to defend in his base on pretty much even supply. Not what you want.
Did the Shockwave kind of whiff here? I don't think it hit too much. But yeah, crit level 2 is supposed to help quite a bit. He's trying to get on top of the talents here, really going past every single heroes of the Night Elf. Gonna force a town portal. And ReMinD does get out after killing one burrow, but taking quite a bit of damage here onto his army and heroes. And he has quite a few camps actually left on his side of the map. I think the Mer camp's still there. That Raiders was taken on a journey. Finally, he just landed back.
I'm waiting for that Pillage upgrade to come in. Where is it? He's not researching it yet. Could have gone into the bottom right with his Orc army here and threaten an attack into the main if the Night Elf goes to the Expo, but no, for now it's just creeping. There's another win condition here for Orc, at least can be, if he gets TC'd to 5. If he gets level 3 Shockwave and those land, that can destroy the talent. So far he hasn't been getting the best connections, but could be getting better. We see a Book of the Dead, which could help out a lot if he gets in the right position and there's no Wisps nearby to detonate.
Yeah, usually in those fights there is no Wisps coming in here in this matchup. And ReMinD is actually going to try and get a cancel on that Great Hall here on the left-hand side. So I feel like some players, they might have even tried to like let this finish and then attack it, but that's how it can backfire, where if the opponent takes a single fight and defense once, you're in a world of trouble. So he prefers to get the safe cancel.
Yeah.
ReMind's ready to fight here. 56 supply to 56.
And again, FoCuS, he didn't go into a position to counterattack. Again, he's just standing here defending. Good Book of the Dead though, that's gonna help. But this whole game, it just seems to me like FoCuS is the reactive player and he rarely takes initiative and he rarely goes for the big plays. But now perhaps with a few Shockwaves landing, he can change that. He's gonna need a heal scroll here pretty soon. The Spirit Link spreading out all the damage. Some more walkers are going down. If there's no more walkers, it means no Dispel. And then the Night Elf is certainly gonna take over. Heal scroll was used there a moment ago. The TC taking a lot of damage. Doesn't have Spirit Link upon him at the moment. Needs to be very wary now. Blade Master with the Invul Potion, looking for the kill, trying to get the Tinker, and he will! Nicely done with the last end snare. With that, you can prevent the staff, and that way he gets the hero kill. But only on the third hero. Honestly, that one can be allowed to go down because the Demon Hunter and the Beastmaster, they got the mobs in their hands because they're the cleanup crew.
Yeah, it was only level 2 as well. TC completely without mana here. Talents. Raiders really threatening those guys, pushing them back, but great kiting by ReMinD. That fight started in the Orc base, and he's kited him all the way back here to near the Merchant. Demon Hunter now taking a lot of damage. He still has an invuln. Town Portal is on the Beastmaster. There is just fights happening everywhere.
He was like on 2 HP. I thought that Quillbeast was going to get the killing shot, the arrow to the knee. But somehow the TC gets away. Now the level 2 Endurance Aura helping out a lot. That's the advantage here for Orc in the late game. Mobility. But look at the supply, Todd. That's not looking good. Almost surround on the Walker. He will get it. He will reclose it, the Tinker. I don't think that's been quite started yet, but that's the thing in the late game in this matchup. The Night Elf heroes will always have value. They will always be doing damage and, you know, be reliable, whereas the Orc heroes will either be burned or in the air most of the time. And this late game, seemingly belonging to ReMinD here. FoCuS needs a sick comeback play to get back into this.
Usually it's all about the Quillbeast cancelling those styles, but that's Fairy Dragon actually. That was a nice play here. Getting that cancel on that. Now gets caught with that one. And FoCuS is not being given the sufficient time here to properly heal up. Gets mana burn, so that cancels the salve and also takes a bunch of his mana away. And he's only gonna have like one shockwave in a little bit, unless he gets burned before, which that demon is really trying to achieve now. I'm a little surprised ReMinD is not going more for the burrows, because if there is no fortified yet, they're gonna fall very quickly. But he wants to catch that army, he wants to land a couple cyclones and end it. He can smell blood in the water.
Yeah, it kind of looked like he was playing without a TP because he didn't want to commit too hard. But he did have a TP. The mana burns, by the way, landing really well. We had another one right there. The TC couldn't quite throw it out. Nowadays, by the way, in case you guys don't know, only 90 mana. Not 100 anymore. Still, however, not that good of a spell. Heroes up in the air. If one of these heroes die, either Blade or TC, the game is certainly over. He finally got the level 5. That is the lifeline. Get some clarities, get some mana potions, and Prage for the shockwave to win the game.
Oh, the TC is stuck. Alright, that's it. Nothing to survive. 61 mana currently. He breaks out, but the mana burn will get him down. The Blade Master is up in the air, and that's gonna be it for game number 1. ReMinD playing the old school style of the talents. Didn't have to play quite with the bears that we talked about, but that was last Refuge. Does it very convincingly here.
Yeah, very well done. ReMinD showing his chops from days past. Doesn't go for the Keeper, doesn't go for the new style, as we explained multiple times, especially on this map. Very good to go for Demon Hunter. I'm still expecting perhaps bears at some point, but the talents here working out well. And FoCuS, I'm pretty sure he saw this coming. You know, nowadays, this day and age against Night of Last Refuge, you have to expect these talents to be coming in. But it didn't really look like he had the best answer for it. He sort of managed to secure the low levels for the Night Elf in the mid game, but he didn't really take a fight. I think really the big problem was not having the 5th Burrow ready to go to 60 quick and taking a fight then with double heal scroll. He took a bit too long, gave the Demon Hunter level 3, and I think by then the ship hasn't quite sailed, but things get more difficult.
Well, the thing is, the main meta in this matchup currently is for Night Elf to go for Keeper and a lot of Archers and Hunts and Alchemy second and expanding and just making a lot of this army of pure Archer and Hunts. So that's probably the vast majority of what FoCuS has to play against daily. Like, what would you say is the ratio on that? Like, does he play like 70%, 80% of the time against that, or?
Yeah, some players
maybe even more.
Played exclusively, basically. Like, for example, I talked about it earlier, Moon basically only plays Keeper. Colorful is really good with both styles. Last Refuge, for example, he will always go for talents like so many others. It has really become more and more the norm again, as especially players like Hitman don't like to see. The talents in the right hands can certainly be tough to make work. This is one of the few things that really went well, I think, for FoCuS this game. The Blade Master building cancel was a big help for him. But here, this is the fight, the first real fight we saw, and I felt it was taken a bit too late. He tried to retreat, tried to heal up, but that's a very difficult part of this matchup for the Orc. When everything is low and you have to fall back and you just want to be left alone, you want to heal up with salves and clarities, that's when the Night Elf follows you. That's when he pressures you, doesn't take the boot off of the neck, and ReMinD was able to clutch out the victory. I thought the TC perhaps was going to barely get away here, but he falls. I wonder if you could have done anything with level 5, but even with level 5, it's so hard to get into the right position. The D-Man, of course, always going to be looking for those burns. You have to align TC positioning with end snares, with shockwave angle. It's really hard to manage that perfectly. Lin is someone who does that wonderfully. FoCuS, his strategy here, not quite working out, but I would say it's pretty likely we shouldn't be seeing talents on the other maps.
Yeah. Maybe expanding, I think, like, would have made a difference because of how well he was doing as well. It was like the more encouraging game here to go for an expansion, like shortly after he crept it. Because the timing would have been pretty late for ReMinD to try and hit on that. But of course, it's easier to say as observer here than when you're actually playing. And now ReMinD, we're going to be headed to Conceal Hill. Will he bring out the bears? We need them bears, bro.
Well, let's see what we get here. In the top right, in the red, he's down 0-1, trying to reclaim the honor for the orcs, is FoCuS.
His opponent in the yellow playing Night Elf. Are you on Team Shiba Inu yet? It's ReMinD.
And normally either Talon or Bear strategies rely on a very strong anchor to carry you to tier 3 late game, and that is the Demoner, which means you want to have a secured, good creep progress for the Demoner, and this is a tough map to make that work on. You can get level 2 with orange and green, but beyond that, you're super creep jackable. Everything here is pretty far out or hard to creep. For that reason, we almost always see the Keeper here who can creep by far the best. And here we go, FoCuS with the Farseer. In every other matchup, all other 3, he plays Farseer exclusively. Just in the Night Elf matchup, he switches it up. And he has been really innovating the space. We've been seeing him a lot with Shadowhunter second, with Farseer, and then Shaman, Pressure, maybe Expansion. And he is one of the pioneers with that style. Now it's up to ReMinD. Like, he played this trick card, if you will, on map 1 with the Talons. Now he must know FoCuS and his Farseer is a threat. And I wonder what his preparation against it has been and how is he going to answer it here.
Yeah, against the Farseer, it's encouraging to go for lures, just because if you get Dryads, you have a very easy way to deal with walls. Of course, Dryads also, they cannot get hit by chain lightning. But against Bears, it almost felt like hit or miss so far, like some of the games that I've seen of Orc against Bears. Like sometimes, you know, they just looked really good. They got either Walkers or Shamans out. They fought, they did really well. They even set up an Expo if they needed to. They hit them with Kodos. But other games, if you can gain any kind of momentum while you're going for Bears, you're just going to win right out. And to be honest, ReMind's a very momentum-based player, in my opinion. Like, if he can start to get things going his way in a game, usually he will know exactly how to close it out.
He doesn't like the start here quite so much with the item. Ring of Protection, not what he's hoping for. Gets a Mantle though. I guess that makes up for it. You win some, you lose some, you get some of the good, some of the bad. As the Farseer gets level 1.8. At some point, normally, with a Farseer, you want to pressure and make sure the Keeper doesn't level too much. But then again, it's also pretty tempting to go creep yourself. With the Wolves, you can do that fast. And if the Farseer gets to level 3 quickly, you can threaten these archers extremely effectively just with the hero.
Yeah, the War Mill there being added pretty early for FoCuS. Walls perhaps in danger of getting detonated. He was almost trying to bait it here, but keeping them there this long. Here's the second set, looking for some Wisps. Tree of Ages now starts. And when you're facing an elf that goes Keeper on this map, you definitely want to clear the corners of your base at some point to make sure there is no Ancient Protector going up. And ReMinD would be that guy as well to, you know, sometimes even hide multiple APs and do a very aggressive attack.
Yeah, I could absolutely see that. So it was only one Grunt so far. One Grunt into Headhunters seems to be the build. Perhaps the biggest advantage of playing Farseer is you don't have to go for a shop early. You don't usually take too much damage. The Wolves can tank for creeping. Of course, now the Farseer has taken some damage. Could perhaps go to the health fountains as well. But yeah, the shop is delayed, and that saves you a lot of resources. You can invest into a faster tech. And more Headhunters. Is he?
Yeah.
Deny yourself to the red camp. Oh.
Oh, ReMinD, he went the wrong way for a second, but yeah, forces the town portal there. Very nicely done. At least Farseer is almost level 2, and the shop was made earlier, so he already has that. Stronghold about to be reached. What second hero? do you think, Remo?
Players' forces are under attack.
We've been seeing mostly a Shadowhunter from FoCuS, from what I saw. Yeah, and there it is. That's because it makes a lot of sense in this kind of game when we consider units. You mentioned the Dryads before, and it's absolutely right. Dryads are great against the FoCuS. They can dispel the wolves, and they don't get affected by Chain Lightning. But if you then counter the Dryads that are countering the FoCuS, you can go for Serpent Wards plus Raiders, which can really take apart those Dryads.
Yeah, you have two choices mainly. It's either the Snake Bit or Roti Super Naga. One or the other.
Wait, what? Roti Super Naga?
Yeah. Roti a while back, like, was doing a bit of Warcraft 3. Every game he was grabbing a Naga and buying a bunch of claws and circlets and killing everything. And he kept saying it was the Super Naga.
Was it with a mana shield to double down on the memes?
It was just
All right.
pure damage and items.
Well, you know, you might see mana shield this tournament. I've seen it from Happy.
Oh, is Kevin Trim here?
He's here in spirit and perhaps in chat. Shout out to Kevin. Here we go. Shadowhunter comes out. Also very strong because the Hex early on tier 2 is a great way to catch units. And the counter hero against it is the Alchemist. So, not the Demon Hunter, which we'll also sometimes see.
He has a speed scroll here to get out if things get dicey, but yeah, FoCuS close enough to his base and the shop. ReMinD will not overextend. And behind this, we have Raider and Shaman production on the way. The first lore is going to start for ReMinD.
And once the first Shaman comes out, FoCuS clearly has map control. He's got the catch right now through Hex. There's no Abolish yet to cancel. And he's going to have Purge against Entangle. So he's going to be really strong like the next 2 minutes. This is oftentimes the timing for the Orc to either be aggressive or rather to play the passive approach, creep the natural, use that strength, leverage it into an expansion, and then play with a 2-base economy in the late game. That's the way the Farseer and the Shadowhunter works out. ReMinD keeps staying aggressive, kind of, at least he's sticking around. His hero levels, his experience is looking a bit rough right now. I like the Wisp though, ready to use Detonate against Hex.
Yeah, he has Ultra Vision, so he was seeing this creeping from like away in the shadows. Tries to get the engage. He's going straight for that Raider here, trying to prevent any kind of ensnare from even happening at this stage. The Raider did make it out, I think, just barely, unless it ticked down from the Acid Bomb. ReMinD just trying to get snipes before there is enough Purges to deal with his Entangle well enough.
The next Shaman coming in very importantly against those Entangles precisely. Shadowhunter close to another Hex, but ReMinD got quite something done. The Raider did survive. Oh, the Grunt just ticked out just a second ago, but the Raider survived, and that's big. Yeah. That's important. That gives him even more catch now beyond just Hex.
ReMind's so aggressive, which is, for him, it's almost normal.
Yeah.
Like, you'd see him do that all the time. If he'd be passive and creeping, that's where I'd get worried. But no, he's being his self, his usual self here. And so far, it's working out pretty well. I mean, he got some trades in. Now might be the time to start creeping again. Yeah, he has the Enchanter 4 in position on the left-hand side lab. And there is no tier 3. He's just purely massing Dryads. Perhaps to try and take a fight sometime soon before the Shadowhunter would be level 3.
Yeah, it's interesting how these hero levels work out. The Keeper's relevance here is going to be diminished the more and more Shaman come out, but the same for the Farseer with the Dryads. Big item for him, Cloak of Flames, which is really useless. He's going up against Dryads,
Remo.
and he doesn't have a melee hero. You think that's Kraft's favorite item? Kraft was rocking up here in one hell of a fur coat, man. I was jealous.
The Lich King coat.
He got Frostmourne hidden under the thing somewhere, ready to bust it out and chop some heads. All right, FoCuS creeping up the natural now. But as I was saying, I'm liking ReMind's position, FoCuS's position more and more if he gets level 3 Shadowhunter. For the Serpent Wards, plus of course Headhunters, he's going to have sick damage against these Dryads. ReMinD needs armor upgrades on the Dryads and levels on Heal Spray to prevent that.
Yeah, and he...
Oh, the Raider.
Actually, ReMinD has done a very good job preserving his mana. Ooh, big Detonate here is going to connect on the Shamans. A lot of units are not very healthy. FoCuS getting caught completely out of position here. ReMinD, that's the matchup where I think most people would have agreed FoCuS was the favorite. Currently rank 5 in the yellow wall rankings, whereas ReMinD is like 21st. But ReMind's running this show so far. FoCuS all the way back at his shop now, trying to re-engage. Healing Wave is going to be used.
Dude, ReMinD is so aggressive every time, fighting next to the shop against the level 3 on the Farseer. Isn't using many of his spells yet. Not so effective, of course, against the Dryads, as we said, but there's so much healing here for the Orc. How he would have loved the heal scroll, but the heal scroll is on the Night Elf side. And this is the first time I'm going to cast a curse someone, saying, yeah, FoCuS in a good position, but now just getting trashed at the moment. Doesn't have a TP anymore, but the Alchemist does. TP was transferred, should have been transferred. Gonna run away with the Chemical Rage once again, and FoCuS, 38 supply only left for him.
Oh, Staff is used on time to save the Alchemist. He's going to have to run from across the map, though, because there's no Staff of Teleportation, but I don't think he cares too much at this point. I love that FoCuS went for Chain Lightning level 2, but he didn't even really have any opportunity to use that very well. He's stuck on the outside of his base. The trees at the top are blocking him from running there. I think he's trying to buy something to evacuate a temple. He's going to be able to make it out. The Farseer getting targeted now. He's going really low. Oh my god, 23 hit points.
I think ReMinD had exactly the right read. The right read. Don't let him creep too much. Pressure, be aggressive. That's exactly what ReMinD is known for. FoCuS perhaps misreading this game a little bit. When he forced away the first Night Elf wave of attack, he went to the middle, right, and tried to get the item there and then go over to the expansion and then expand there. But that was perhaps too late. It took a bit too long. ReMinD got up to 50, got a heal scroll, and now he's about to get level 3 Alchemist. You know, I was expecting heal spray, but this is ReMinD. Weighing about no healing here.
There's no better spell that describes him better than Chemical Rage, Remo. Burrow is going to fall here very rapidly. He's trying to get Shadow 3. Will get it with the Claws +9 here, but it's 44 supply against 50. And some of those units are in the production tab here, as we see the Shaman about to come out, a Raider as well. Let's see if he can get that big hold here, FoCuS. There's always so many Dryads, like he can never use Wolves here, basically, ever.
And the Raider is taking a lot of damage right away. That heal scroll earlier needed, now needed once again. Speed scroll trying to reposition, some Dryads falling as well. 50 supply still though for ReMinD. He's not looking to back up, he still has some more left in the tank. Shadowhunter is the big carry for this Orc army. He's providing the healing, but where's the damage coming from?
Yeah, those Headhunters, they're putting in some work. Staff just on time. That's a lot of bodies. I hadn't seen this many Dryads die since Sase was still active, man.
Don't we love the death sounds of the Dryads?
Used to be my phone alert when I receive a text message back in the day.
It's a dopamine hit every time. I like that. Even the Ancient of War made it to the fight up here in the north. Everyone wants to
Glad
take
you
part.
made it.
He's sitting in the back right now, giving, you know, some helpful feedback, maybe some encouraging words. FoCuS needs to remake his shop. It is about 30% done now. The burrows are helping out a lot. You know, behind this, ReMinD did a lot of damage already. He could have probably transitioned fairly easily into tier 3 and bears, but this is ReMinD, boys. We ain't about no transition. We want to go attack and look for blood, and he's found plenty of blood already. But the Dryads, they do usually fall off at some point. Also, we have no upgrades on the Dryads yet. This really is the most ham, crazy, typical ReMinD game.
Reinforced was already... reinforced defenses was started. I'm curious if maybe he was thinking about moving across the map eventually when he has that to try and hit and run. I mean, the Night Elf is literally in front. He's setting up the craziest outpost, and AP starts here. What is going on? ReMinD, just all-out aggression yet again.
There's a good answer for that already, for focusing just simply go into Demolishers. But that Ancient of War in the front is making things tricky. That thing is super tanky. It's got Nature's Blessing. It's an awkward position for FoCuS.
He's getting 2 APs, Remo. I think he just didn't want to break upkeep, and he's like, I want more damage. So he's getting some APs. He frees supplies, can start more Dryads instead.
Acid Bomb connects into the back. Good damage once again, but the Shadowhunter, he's got the healing as we mentioned. Ancient of War uprooting. Some peons are needed in these burrows. Low lumber, however, also at the moment for FoCuS. But so many of the Raiders are falling. Level 4 on the Keeper, and ReMinD, can he finally close it out now? He's got the supply lead once more, fighting so tenaciously.
Yeah, this Farseer feels so bad that he can't make walls this whole time. Starts pushing ReMinD back a little bit. I think it would be good for ReMinD to get a Staff of Teleportation on the Alchemist, because then he can get out and back in a lot more easily. Yeah, 2 more Ancient Protectors on the way. One of them already finished. He's going to set up on the right-hand side and slow siege as we have a Demolisher on the way now. And he did grab the staff.
Does he need a second Demolisher, I wonder, or is one going to be good enough? The positioning on this Demolisher, really important. Needs to rally it to the top left, not to the bottom right. Otherwise, he's in even more trouble than he already is.
You know, you talked about Serpent Wards countering Dryads. Maybe the mistake was to go Hex first, because then you kind of have to go Healing Wave.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he could have gone Hex, Serpent Ward as well, but then without Healing Waves, just your stuff is dying way too fast as well.
All right, the Demolisher is in, but right now busy dealing with the Dryads. Staff out once again on the Alchemist. He's been getting saved multiple times through that staff. We're going to take a look at the Moon Juice soon, but the first AP is taken out. And are we now seeing the first forms, the first signs of over-aggression by ReMinD? Did he perhaps commit a bit too hard here? Is FoCuS finally stabilizing? He's got the Demolisher, we're even in supply, and a second demo is coming.
Yeah, Keeper is 4.2 and Alchemist is 3.5, so he's been killing units, but it's not like he's very close to 5.5 thanks to it. So he's been very committed to this attack.
Yeah.
Another Demolisher here comes out inside of the Dryads, but will be able to make it all the way back.
Oh, you know
FoCuS is defending, and not only the Demolishers are going to kill those APs, after that they're going to be quite good against the Dryads as well.
You know what I just realized? Maybe ReMinD has to play this aggressively and contain. Because imagine level 4 Shadow gets to the shop and goes Tome of Retraining. And then he's going to go Serpent Wards and Heal Wave, of course. And then this Dryad army is going to be completely boned, I would imagine. Finally, ReMinD is ready to transition. Go tier 3, get ready for Bears or MGs. First Bear is coming. But is this too late, perhaps?
Yeah, it does feel like it's very, very late here with where we're at in the game. What a defense by FoCuS. I really thought he was out of it. He just barely survived. There was even a panic chain lightning at some point when his heroes were very low, and I think shortly after he had Town Portaled, but he still gets the defense eventually, and now is the one with the hero levels that, you know, are getting pretty scary. FoCuS being 4.5. If he gets that to level 5, you know, Chain Lightning level 3 could be really good. He could go for the invisible walls, just running everywhere and killing everything. With the Wisps being in danger all the time.
And the thing is, now that there's 2 Demolishers and Raiders already, FoCuS has a really big opportunity to be aggressive against the Moonwells soon, if he's in the right position. But one thing, you know, it's been a crazy game, very hectic. He barely survived, honestly. It's easy to lose track in these kinds of games of what might be the next step that you have to go for. But the Tome of Retraining on the Shadowhunter is so important. This Hex is a complete waste of a skill point. In fact, 2 skill points. And Serpent Wards would be a tremendous help for him. But is he gonna realize that this Tome would be so beneficial?
I think he might just attack because he broke Upkeep. And also, like, the main is getting closer and closer to mining out for both players. There's 2,600 golds left inside both gold mines. So because he already broke Upkeep, he's probably confident in his army. He's like, okay, well, you're probably transitioning to, you know, bears or mountain giants. I'm just gonna attack before you can get that, because guess what? I got a big army, I got Demolishers. Wait, summon walls.
Yeah, these can, of course, get dispelled by the Dryads, as we pointed out. The Alchemist very close to level 4. Chemical Rage, perhaps not the best spell in the game, but it's going to help out a little bit. He's getting caught. He's getting Ensnare locked. In that case, he might not be able to staff him out, but TP, transfer, gets him away. And now we have the siege on the other side.
Who's defending now? You are. Druid of the Clawmaster training starts, but it's so late. Thanks to the Demolishers, these lords are going to be on the siege very, very quickly. Rejuvenation can be purged. War is not effective on Dryads, so
yeah,
that bear transition, unless you can get like 5 or 6 of them out with Master, it's not going to help out that much, supposedly.
And it's level 5 on the far side. Goes for the Wolves right away, no hesitation. With the Invis, they can certainly do something. We have a Shredder in the mix as well. Can that guy help out maybe? The Demolisher shots, how are they going to connect? If they hit the Dryads, smack bang in the middle is going to be big damage. And here we see that happening as well. Good combination with the Ensnare. The Dryads can't move with the Ensnare. The Demolishers hit him, and we have the big damage. No Serpent Wards even needed here, seemingly. Finally, we have the Massive Bears coming in, but only 2 at the moment.
Yeah, you don't even need Kodos there. Might just have enough damage. Even though they're starting to get some good damage themselves. You have the Shredder helping out too. FoCuS in danger, he moves it back. FoCuS with quick reflexes. But the Shadowhunter is starting to run out of mana a little bit. He's getting close to level 5. He's 4.9. Level 5 right around the corner, one of the biggest levels you can get here.
And that bear's gonna do it. It's still ensnared, can't be staffed, waiting for the duration to be over, but there we go, that's level 5.
Sploosh.
And now, how the hell are you gonna dislodge this attack? We have level 3 Wolves. Okay, they still do get dispelled, it turns out. But the Heal Wave cannot. Would love to see a shop here by FoCuS, maybe? But he's looking for the hero kill. If he takes out the Alchemist, this game should be his. Is the staff ready? Yes, it is. We have Rejuve as well, but not too much healing anymore for ReMinD.
That was a sick defense by FoCuS. Honestly, I was so sure he was out of it. ReMinD going for the all-out aggression the entire game. Eventually gets worn down on the other side of the map. The mass Dryads just didn't quite work out. And behind this, it would have been very easy to mess up this game, I think, for FoCuS. If he just like got too worried about fighting, he's like, nah, I'm just gonna break up, keep and attack. You've lost too many Dryads, you're probably gonna go Bears and just die. And guess what? He's right. I don't think ReMinD has too long left in this game here. With double the soup for FoCuS right now.
Dryad just getting splattered at this point. Alchemist trying his best. He has decent attack speed, but his damage doesn't seem to be high enough. Dryad's all falling, 30 supply only. GG is called, and FoCuS will equalize. Whoa! What a game, what a sigh of relief for him. He was almost out of this. He was stuck in his own main. He was getting attacked, couldn't move back, had to buy a TP just to get to the other side of his base. And throughout all of this, somehow, he manages to hold. That was a great sign of strength for him. And I would imagine also a good confidence booster, proving to himself he can play here on the biggest stage. He can perform his best even under so much pressure.
And that match is obviously very important because also like the winner has a chance to take first in that group, which is going to be extremely important. You're in a tournament with the likes of Moon, Happy, all these guys. You want to take first in your group and most likely avoid them in the quarterfinals by doing so. So FoCuS is not out of it just yet. He doesn't fall to the lower brackets. The winner of this match will of course face Foggy or Krav.
Exactly. Here in the first round of the group stages, we're going to have 2 games happening simultaneously. We are going to give you the updates on that as soon as we get them, guys. Foggy versus Krav. Of course, Foggy there being the big favorite. Here it looks so rough, man. This creep jack, great timing by ReMinD. He looks for the opening to be aggressive. He always does. And he found it. I think the creep route perhaps a bit too greedy by FoCuS trying to go for the red first. And you mentioned it, going for Hex. Was that the perfect call? It was a bit risky. You got him like 2 Huntress kills maybe, but also hard to say no to. But after a long siege, FoCuS held. He realizes he's got the strength of siege now on his side as well with the Demolishers. Moves across the map, and ReMinD, for the first time, getting punished for a bit of stubbornness that we've seen from him.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's a bit too aggressive. Sometimes he takes a bit too long to make that transitional step into the late game, to have that perfect feel of when it's time to, cut your losses and go back. That was the first 2 games in the books, ladies and gentlemen. Nicely tied up 1-1. We're going to go into a break and then come back with a decision here for the Global Finals. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Nailbiter here for the first game. We go on to map 3, FoCuS and ReMinD. The players who have met so many times now will find their decision on map 3. It shall be Northern Isles. Who's going to move on in the upper bracket and meet Foggy? Because Foggy won his match against Krav 2-0 just a moment ago, and we'll find out who his Korean opponent is going to be. It can only be one, and we're going to load in a moment. It's been a few weird games, not necessarily so much the norm, the standard that we've been seeing. In fact, not a single Keeper Hunts Expo game yet. We saw Dryads on game 2, we saw the Demon Hunter Talons on map 1, of course. Now going on to Northern Isles, it might be a return to the standard, something that ReMinD perhaps hasn't played that much. FoCuS has certainly faced many times. But first, let's once again introduce our players. In the bottom left, in the yellow, trying to still win this game after the 1-0 lead is ReMinD.
His opponent in the reds, currently 5th in the yellow world rankings, it is FoCuS. Do you think FoCuS gets underestimated or is underrated compared to his level? Because it feels like he's just below all of those players that are championship caliber, right? Like he's always been very high up there, but he just doesn't close it out in a lot of these tournaments, even though he always goes far.
Yeah, it does feel like that. He's come close a couple of times, and you can count some online tournaments among them. FoCuS definitely a workhorse. He does score really well, but he doesn't quite, as you say, win those big tournaments. Is that big championship caliber player. Never won a WGL, never won a big offline tournament. He won NEXT before, but that was online. You see the Blade Master here, by the way. When the DreamHack circuit started, he had a really good run in Anaheim. He made it to the grand final, but there again lost. Didn't get the title it was Moon the one to get it. But FoCuS, if he has a strong showing here, he really could go far. And he's one of the big threats against some of the big players here, right? Everyone talks about it all the time. FoCuS, probably the biggest threat to Happy and also to Foggy, possibly.
That would be a pretty good tournament to only, quote-unquote, to make top 2, because $22,000 for the second place, 50K for first.
The highest prize money amount ever for Warcraft 3 tournament, $130,000 in the big 50K for our champion. Who that is going to be in the end, we'll see. Seems like our first match here is very evenly matched between the two. And this is the norm that we're used to seeing, right? Keeper against Blade. And look at that peon, cheeky, pulling the creeps over. I know this trick with an Acolyte with the unsummon mechanic, but this one I hadn't quite seen. Claws, good start for the Keeper. Mantle for the Blade, well, whatever. But I like that he's creeping in the middle right away, ready to contest these green camps on Northern Isles.
Yeah, both players trying to pick up a couple items here and there in the start. And I wonder if we might see a standard game. I think FoCuS would be happy to just play as you're supposed to. He's like very well practiced against Keeper, Alchemist, Archer and Hunts, whereas ReMinD is the one who usually has to do something a little more unconventional. What could be unconventional if he opens the way he just did here? I guess maybe he could still go Bears, but usually there's much more incentive to do that if you're facing a FoCuS, because then you're getting the Dryads. Do you think 100% normal game?
I think Dryad is very difficult to go for. FoCuS loves playing, from what I've seen, Blade Master against Dryads, because if he spots Dryads, he's just going to throw down double Bestiary and then run in with Raider and Mass and Snare. And with a Blade Master damage, normally those Dryads die very fast.
Oh, so he's one of those guys. He sees the loss, he's like, you've activated my trap card.
It can be dangerous though, right? Against the Keeper, when you don't have to spell against Entangle, it might still be better to go for the Lodge. Was a nice play, by the way, with his Blade Master opening. He used the Scroll of Speed to run across the map, steal the last hit, prevent level 2 on the Keeper. He's still got the level 2 now, but it cost him more mana. He had to summon Treants once again, and now he doesn't have that big mana pool. And now he's going for the AP. You mentioned it earlier on Concealed Hill against ReMinD. You have to respect this possibility, and now we're going to see it applied.
Oh, you see? He's diving for the Grunt, even inside the burrows. Maybe the Claw and Slip Burst of Agility here made him super confident he was going to get that anyway with the extra damage and attack speeds. Is there a deny?
Well, the Keeper got it, but now the Keeper's out of mana, so this should be an easy cancel. Oh my god, did he not see it? Nighttime, of course, reduced vision, and I think this AP was just slightly out of vision range. And that means it is going to finish, but for this AP to be really threatening, there needs to be a Keeper close by, ready to entangle units.
Maybe... Wait, actually no, he cannot get staff because the Blade took that away.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty long cooldown for that staff to come back into the Merchants.
And
I was going to say maybe you should get a staff, go home, get full mana, and then staff back to the AP. But no, that was scouted.
And FoCuS did finally see it. Probably did a little bit of a face palm as he knew he was there just a second ago, but was slightly out of range. He checked both corners, saw the AP. Now he knows what's up. And what is going to be the answer here? Shadowhunter second. It is very tempting to just go for Hex. Hex, Speed Scroll, chase after the Keeper, force the TP out, and then deal with the AP. But then, of course, you're going to be stuck on Hex once again.
Yeah, War Mill being added is very important. We saw before how much it helped out getting Demolishers, getting reinforced eventually. Especially if you don't have to use peons for any sort of Spirit Link or fighting on, just helping out in the fight, then you're going to have enough lumber to go for that easily. Blade taking a lot of damage here, he has to be careful.
Yeah, he's got the salves though. I think he's trying to distract right now, make sure that the Lodge especially is going to finish, which is not yet. Shadowhunter's going to come out here. I think he could even afford to lose this altar. Doesn't need it so badly anymore. Again, the easiest way of dealing with this is War Mill and Demolisher, but that's a heavy investment.
Oh, we've seen sometimes just Serpent Words being picked as first spell. He still hasn't chosen here yet. We saw last game that he went for Hex, but yeah, Serpent Words here, you spam them around the AP, you target that down, you get it out of there. After that, it's easier to deal with the army. And there it is, Serpent Words. Selected, but out of range of the Protector, which means that also that the AP won't be able to shoot that down.
And Demon Hunter second and tier 3. This is going to be Bears or MGs for ReMinD. Valuable scout, though, by the Blade Master. He sees all of this, knows about the hero, knows about the tech, and has the staff to get back.
Oh,
He
he's
needs
getting
Shadowhunter.
surrounded.
Oh, big mistake by FoCuS.
Oh my god.
And now, having lost the altar matters a lot. The Shadowhunter was... He forgot to put on hold position. He walks forward, and that is a catastrophic mistake.
I cannot believe he actually went forward with that. I think we both started coming. We were like, wait a second. Like, he has entangle and multiple hunts, gets us around, and with the Shadowhunter out of
Oh,
there.
and the grunt.
Oh, and he goes double wind. By the way.
Oh, wow, that's a crazy fake out. Okay, despite having the Hunter's Fall still going Wind, still going Talons, maybe wait for the the Blade Master to leave. Oh, that's a huge mistake.
Oh, the grunt. Alright, that one's dead. Wait, is he actually? Is that locked on the top left? Can he not go through?
Yeah, I think that's the wall off. These base builds for FoCuS are not doing him any favors. Oh, that's rough, man. What happened there, by the way, it must have been he placed the Serpent Ward and forgot to press hold position, and then sometimes you auto run forward. Rough map 3 for FoCuS. Well, he's been behind 2 times already this series. 1 time he came back, so maybe he can do it again, eh?
Maybe not. At least the Blade gets a scout on the other side, sees that it's Ancient of Wind. Maybe he should just instant revive and be done with it, but look at ReMinD, he's camping the center. It's like, go ahead, you buy that. I'll be there.
Forces are under attack.
Yeah, I guess Altar will finish at some point. Oh man, a rough series for FoCuS. It's just a few things going wrong here and there. And honestly, this is the matchup where it can happen the easiest in. That something happens that you didn't want to happen, and you know, you slip up slightly and suddenly you're behind.
A critter blocked him. Man, this critter's out of control. We need to call animal control out there to get rid of some of this. It's ridiculous. Especially on Conceal Hill, like they're on steroids there. But there's always like 3 frogs near the merchant at the top blocking you all the time.
A player's
You gotta kill them early, you know, before they become a problem.
Oh my god, another surround. And this Bestiary is completely... The AP is attacking the main base. The main base has lost like 30% hit points. What is going on? FoCuS is falling apart completely here in map number 3.
He really is. He really is. This Demon Hunter is a bit on the level. That's the only issue here for ReMinD. Other than that, this is a great game. Shadowhunter finally back from the tavern on level 1. Not what you want to have. Trying to take out some hunts now with the purges, but he doesn't even have the damage to kill a single huntress. Maybe he does. All right, give me the crit, give me the kill. You know, that's something.
Yeah, Demon wants to get some snipes here and there. Keeper almost being level 3 super scary here because we're not working with a lot of Dispel on FoCuS' side of things. It's only like the few shamans coming out one by one. This one's not even really healthy. That AP was there for such a long time. He actually damaged the main so much.
I really feel for FoCuS this game. This is one of those unfortunate maps where things just go wrong, spiral out of control. It's very hard to have a pulse on every issue that can happen in the early game. That's really what sets the great orcs apart. Lin at the moment and Fly in the past, where he knew exactly what he had to do at all times against the Night Elf in the early game, had the flow chart down. FoCuS is a very good player himself, but here, not exactly his best day yet on the first day of the Global Finals.
Yeah, the comeback last game was really sick, but that was the thing. He was already kind of behind because of some mistakes. Imagine Kraft, by the way. Like, you come to a tournament in Sweden, you meet Foggy round 1, you lose 0-2 after a crazy base trade in game 2, and he's like, well, you gotta play FoCuS in the low bracket.
Well, you know, at this level of tournament with this caliber of players, that's what you have to prepare for. Third hero Alchemist. All right, that's pretty cool. Gonna have heal spray this time. I was about to say heal spray and then thinking it's ReMinD, maybe it's gonna be acid bomb again. But this time we do in fact have the heal spray. And is there any chance to beat these talents? Normally you need to have the perfect army of Raider Walker, great control, heal scrolls, all that to make that happen. But now without walkers, just with Shaman, is that even gonna be doable?
FoCuS is in a lot of trouble. He needs to find a way to come back in this game, and I think that's going to be through also maybe ReMinD making a couple of mistakes here and there. ReMinD, he must be starting to feel very confident here. He's got talents, master. It's time to move out, go for the fight. And yeah, this time there is Serpent Wards to help out. But there is a Creepjack coming up. He's not gone. Oh my god, he's not done with the camp yet. Cyclone's available. And that Shadow Hunter might just be skydiving for the rest of this fight.
Mana Stone, great find. Some Huntresses are going down. Ensnare, target fire, but of course the Huntresses at this point are a nice little bonus, but not really necessary anymore. The Talons are there to control the fight and the heroes there to put in the damage. We have one Orb of Venom already. A second one surely will be added soon. And FoCuS again has to run, heal up. This is what we're used to seeing against Nightlife, especially against Talons. And of course, ReMinD isn't giving him the time, looking for more kills. And the great thing with the Keeper in this combo is you have great catch as well. You don't have that as well with Cyclone, of course. But with that, you can't attack. Into Entangle, you certainly can. And ReMinD again looking to finish off this game.
FoCuS needs the miracle defense here. He needs the burrows to help him, but that little choke here is kind of working against him, trying to get back to safety behind the burrows. He has to engage into the Demon Hunter. There is Invuln, greater healing as well on that Demon Hunter. He's not even using Healing Spray right now. I don't think that Demon ever goes down here unless he makes a really big mistake, especially when there is no Hex available. ReMinD is about to get his ticket to the winner's match where Foggy's waiting.
Yeah, I like that he even kept the Scourge Bone Chimes. He knows how important healing is on this Demon Hunter. Every little bit is going to be appreciated. Blade in trouble. If he falls, this will be the end. And a bit more right-click. Fairy Fire. Blade Master goes down. 10 supply a lead now for ReMinD. Could look for the next round, maybe. FoCuS doesn't want to give it up yet. He has the help of the burrows, but it's almost the only thing he does have here. ReMinD, his trademark aggression, has almost flawlessly worked out in this series. It has certainly worked out, all things considered. Looking for more kills, leveling up these heroes even more. Demon close to 3. So is the Alchemist. It's kind of crazy. And FoCuS is holding on with just a couple of sticks at his disposal.
Yeah, ReMinD being patient here. Doesn't want to dive all the way to the back of that base. It's just going to move like this. Altar looks so funny up there. You'd never see an Altar up there. You could actually just siege that very happily so, but ReMinD happy to just go cripple. He's enjoying himself. You know, I think he knows he's got this in the bag unless he makes a really big mistake. So he's going to stay patient, heal up, pop a few clarities, and toy with his food a little bit, Remo.
Sometimes you know you're in those games where you know you can't lose. I don't know if he's feeling that confident, but if you feel that confidence and you cruise to victory, it's oftentimes a good feeling.
Yeah, I met you recently on ladder and I went Tinker second, so I know the feeling.
Okay. How did that go in the ESL Master Finals with the Tinker second, though?
Worse than against you.
I know, I saw. With these hero levels. ReMinD looking now to put the nail in the coffin. He's got the hammer in his hand. Like the protagonist in Old Boy, standing in the hallway, ready to put an end to this misery.
That makes me relate to Foggy, you know, like who's always practicing with the computer. Would that actually work in a real game? He's like, yes.
Looking forward to see Foggy later, man. His build's always so crisp. And he's probably happy to see ReMinD advance. His Knight of Mirror is amazing.
Yeah.
He's also good against ORC, but that is his weakest matchup. So for all the Foggy fans out there, this will be a good result. If ReMinD wins, which of course is looking very likely.
Yeah, no, FoCuS only got a few moments left in this game. I don't see how he ever comes back here trying to staff out. Get Cyclone on time here. Blade Master going to be in a world of trouble behind this. Healing Wave is only level 1 because you have to go Serpent Wards level 2, so it's not even helping that much here when you go for these heals. And Blade Master about to go down again. FoCuS try to get back into it, but ReMinD should be able to go into the winner's match. Where, yeah, it's going to be a sick Elf Mirror against Foggy, who just recently beat Moon multiple times in the WT Champions Tournament.
Absolutely, not just happy, but also Foggy looking good. Foggy seemingly peaking at the right time. As I mentioned earlier, Foggy 2-0'd Krav. That was happening over on the B stream. That was sort of expected. This one right here, not so much expected. FoCuS was supposed to be the strongest orc at this tournament. Excuse me, NA fanboys, but I think that is what most people thought.
How dare you? USA #1.
You know, Hitman can prove us wrong later on in this tournament.
Oh, that base. That base is blocking him so much too, trying to move back here next to the burrows. Healing Spray doing so much. That Alchemist third was a brilliant pick here. I'm guessing he has Healing Wave level 2, helping out quite a bit. Demon's still very healthy. He has the invuln. There's a stopper preservation anyway, just in case. FoCuS, he's down to his last few forces here, trying to stay alive in this game.
Lots of gold and ReMinD. You could add in a couple of glaives, maybe, to provide a bit more range siege damage.
And the last time I stayed this long in a game, I got blood castled.
Speaking of games that you can't lose, we have an expansion now. All right, ReMinD is like, whatever.
Town is under siege.
We can
Players'
drag this out
forces
later
are under
if you
attack.
want. Of course, this is a big tournament game, right? So
Yeah.
it certainly looks done and dusted for us. But if you're a tournament player, you want to make use of every opportunity you have, even if it takes a huge mistake from the opponent. And
What do you
that's
make
what
backpacks?
FoCuS is hoping for here.
Kind of weird. But yeah, Fairy Dragons, I feel like always should be added there if you got any sort of wind anyway. He found a Talisman of Evasion twice. Should be an easy sell, at least on one of them. Maybe you can keep one for the Alchemist. FoCuS on the other side, trying to rebuild a little bit, trying to make it to 50 supply somehow and then just get a miracle fight. He does have crit level 2, but just not many items for the blades.
Yeah, it's a sad inventory. 144, 141 crit, I guess that doesn't look too bad. And the talents. The talents even displayed on Northernlands, not what we're used to seeing. Of course, it was a very weird early game. AP and all that. That Shadowhunter loss. Man, that was painful.
And look at that frog still blocking.
Definitely one of the models that Blizzard did last. That guy doesn't even have a face. He's just got 2 little dots. I wonder how that made it through QA. And we still have it here. Maybe he's going to get new footprints in the next match.
Soon TM. Hitting spray doing so much, and honestly, like FoCuS is struggling to even like kill a single unit. Even those fairy dragons that are out there are not doing anything right now. They're still tanking the snake, the serpent ward's damage.
And here we have a little foreshadow. You know,
Chimroost!
Chimroost? Oh yeah, we do. All right, the ultimate. Get out of this game, please, sir. With the chimeras coming in soon. Is it double? Double roost? The roost.
This has almost felt like a campaign mission for FoCuS. He's been in his base the entire time, getting sieged by the evil Night Elves. They've thrown everything at him. The forest has been alive. There's been AP, strengths, units, heroes.
Yeah. The dragons have joined the fun as well. Those of fairy origin. In the twin-headed one soon. FoCuS the first time, it feels like in 10 minutes, moving out of his main. And regretting it instantly.
Peons joining the fights. Don't turn a Spirit Link, actually. Maybe 2 repairs. Oh, Demolisher's out of there. Not much to repair. The Murlocs! They're backstabbing FoCuS as well. They've picked their side, Remo.
Yeah, I think that was a wise choice as well. We saw this one coming. ReMinD claiming the 2-1, the first upset of the tournament. And the panel, they were on to something. ReMinD with some old school styles, with some wonky styles, playing everything but standard. Getting the first win here, moving on in the winner bracket. Upper bracket match next is going to be foggy for him.